SimLab's first and currently only sim racing pedal set makes a pretty big statement right off the bat. SimLab have made it clear that they're aiming to expand beyond the cockpit and sim rig market that they became famous for originally. The target is to offer a complete sim racing ecosystem, consisting of hardware such as a wheelbase, steering wheels and pedals, as well as their incredible range of cockpits. The XP-1 pedal paves the way for this hardware lineup, and it does so in some style. This is a mid-range Loadcell pedal set equipped with a 200 kg Loadcell on the brake. The pedals feature a stunningly gorgeous design with huge layers of adjustability and an extremely robust and premium construction. The question is, where do these pedals fit within the sim racing space? And do they outperform the competition? SimLab has sent over the XP-1 pedals for me to review, and they've got some pretty big shoes to fill after my recent review of the SimLab Mercedes-AMG F1 wheel, which I absolutely fell in love with. Despite these pedals being a review unit, as with all of my reviews, this doesn't affect anything I'm about to say, and I will call out any missteps if there are any. I've often said that upgrading your sim racing pedals is easily the most important thing to do when improving your sim racing setup. A good set of pedals have the highest potential to improve your driving, your consistency and your lap time. For this reason, they're one of the more important decisions you need to make when choosing to upgrade, even more important than choosing a wheelbase. One key element to look for in a sim racing pedal set is a brake pedal that's as close to realistic as possible. The XP-1 pedals do that in various ways. There's a 200 kg load cell incorporated directly into the rear of the pedal arm, which after all the compensation for the springs and the dampers is rated for up to 100 kg of brake pressure. You get a dual stage damper which lets you feel different stages throughout a single braking input, and you get a considerable amount of adjustability. You can completely change how the brake feels with interchangeable dampers and springs, as well as a load of tool-free adjustments to the stiffness and pedal travel. All of these features are housed in one of the most robust and premium feeling full metal pedal designs. I'm going to say right off the bat, these pedals aren't console compatible in any way. Like most premium pedals, you're going to have direct to PC compatibility, which allows you to use them as part of any sim racing ecosystem, no matter what racing wheel you are choosing. So how much do these pedals cost? Well, the XP-1 pedals are priced pretty darn competitively, and I think SimLab have positioned them right around the sweet spot. In terms of value and performance, these pedals are competing directly with brands such as Simucube, Cube Controls and even Acertech, while brands such as Fanatec and MOZA have more focus on ease of use rather than ultimate adjustability. Now, a set of two XP-1 pedals will cost you £338, €490 or $399, and are actually on sale at the time of this review, dropping the price down to under €400. Although I'm not sure how long this sale is going to last, so all of the prices I'm going to actually mention are focused on the pedal's RRP. You can then grab a set of three pedals for just over £500, €590 or $550. It's worth noting that the pedals don't actually come with a heel rest or base plate, and this is another additional cost at £135, €156 or $170. But how do these prices compare to the competition? Looking at its biggest rival, the SimLab XP-1 pedals versus the Husingveld Sprint pedals, both come in a standard 2-pedal configuration with no base plate, both allow for an incredible amount of brake pressure, and both feature a premium all-metal design. So you may be surprised to learn that the XP-1 pedals outprice the Sprints by over €150, and they're priced almost identically to the very comparable Acertech Forte S pedals. Just to reiterate further where these XP-1 pedals sit, on screen now I've got some direct comparisons. You've got brands such as Fanatec and MOZA coming in cheaper with their load cell pedals. Then you've got the Acertech Forte pedals, which are pretty much the same sort of price as these XP-1s. Then the Husingveld Sprint pedals are pretty considerably more expensive. And then you're kind of going up to the hydraulic pedals such as the Cube Controls SP01s. But let's jump into the unboxing and see what's included. I have the base spec 2-pedal configuration with no additional extras whatsoever. This is the entry point for the XP-1s, with things only getting better from here. Even at a base spec, you get a lot of kit that's often considered extra for some brands. Inside the throttle box, you get the usual cables, a set of additional dampers, and a control box to connect all of your pedals into. In the brake box, you get more cables, a very generous amount of interchangeable springs and dampers, and a huge variety of mounting hardware. You then get the two pedals themselves, which are really well protected and ready to mount onto your rig. As soon as you handle either of the XP-1 pedals, you can feel the incredible quality. I've raced for a couple of years with the SimLab P1X Pro as my main sim rig, and you can really tell that these pedals are from the same manufacturer. The sturdiness, the robustness of the construction are incredible, and small attention to detail in the design, such as the branded washers, really screams quality. In fact, every part of the pedal you will ever interact with is incredibly tactile and premium. Each pedal feels pretty heavy to handle, partially due to the immense amount of metal used in its construction. This gives me confidence that even after hundreds and even thousands of hours of abuse, these pedals should still be performing well. While I know design is subjective, I firmly believe that these XP-1s are up there with the best looking pedal sets on the market. I had the same thoughts when I first reviewed the Acertech Forte pedals, as they boasted a unique design flair, and these XP-1 pedals sit in a very similar category in my opinion. One small omission in the design came in the pedal faceplates. Now I raced mainly in boots, but the times when I did casually jump onto the rig and race in just my socks, I could really feel the holes that sit at the centre of each plate. Braking hard meant the centre of my foot would almost compress into these holes, and this can feel uncomfortable over time. This is really strange as it's something almost no other pedal manufacturer does, with most brands choosing to mount the base plates from the rear. I'd also love to see a bit more variety in the plate design itself, especially to differentiate between the throttle and the brake. I'm kind of hopeful that additional plate accessories and options are going to be something that SimLab will add over time. Now in terms of adjustability, there are multiple points of adjustment across each pedal, with the tool-free adjustment knobs featuring a textured design for additional grip while coming in a lovely SimLab blue colour. But don't worry, yes, there is an all black kit available if blue isn't your favourite colour. The front adjustment knobs allow you to adjust the pedal travel pretty quickly, while the knobs that sit at the rear of the pedals affect the stiffness. With these adjustments not requiring tools, you can pretty quickly swap from a short travel formula style pedal and a longer travel GT or road car pedal pretty quickly. Beyond these tool-free adjustment points, you get access to a huge range of other adjustments as well. You can move the whole pedal up and down at the rear, which adjusts the pedal angle across a pretty large range. And then there are also multiple hinge points available on each pedal. Lowering the hinge mounting point for the pedal arm will soften the pedal pressure, while raising it up stiffens the pedal a little bit. Moving that hinge point also kind of changes the curve or linearity of how the pedal feels to press. As I mentioned earlier, you get a lot of different springs and elastomers included as well, giving you a lot of choice over how each pedal feels. There are multiple long throttle springs and a range of short springs and dampers for the brake. Switching these in and out will affect how stiff the throttle and brake feels, and you can crank things right up with the stiffest 78 elastomer, which felt a bit too stiff for my liking. Quite often though, these additional elements can be considered as an extra brake kit or performance kit accessory, so it is really nice to have so much included with the XP-1 pedals as standard. Each pedal plate also features multiple points of adjustability with both height and angle adjustments available. It did take me a little bit of back and forth to find the perfect sweet spot, but with all of the possible adjustments, I'd be amazed if any sim racer couldn't get comfortable. One strange area though where the quality doesn't quite stack up is in the control box. This is extremely lightweight and plasticky, making it feel at odds with the durable and beefy metal construction of the pedals themselves. This box is good in that it serves as a single point to connect all your pedals to, resulting in fewer cables going to your PC. And this nod towards good cable management is always appreciated in my book. Now I understand this control box is generally hidden away and not interacted with once you've set it up, but compared to say the Simucube Link Hub, the quality is night and day. I was even conscious of breaking the plastic mounting holes when attaching it to my rig as they felt rather flimsy. But to be fair to SimLab, so far nothing is broken and the control box is serving its part as designed. Now, unlike some pedals from brands such as Acertech, Fanatec and MOZA, the XP-1 pedals don't include a rigid base plate or a heel rest as standard. The base set, which I have, just includes the two pedals, with individual mounting slots at the base of each pedal. This gives full flexibility on the positioning and how you mount the pedals themselves. However, this approach does have one minor issue, and this comes down to the lack of heel rest. Without one, you can feel the blue adjustment knobs when sim racing in socks, and this can be a little uncomfortable. This didn't really affect me massively as I tested these pedals primarily wearing racing boots, although I did need to install an additional piece of aluminium profile to actually use as a heel rest. The good news is that this issue can be completely solved with a little bit more cash, as you can buy a heel rest or a complete base plate directly from SimLab. When it did come to actually mounting the pedals, the slot gap on either side of the base is pretty much perfect. The slot runs from the front to the rear of each pedal, giving you a huge amount of flexibility over the positioning of each pedal itself. This is exactly how sim racing pedals should be designed, and even big players such as Huzigveld and Acertech don't offer this same level of positional adjustment. Now, jumping into the software, this is the second time I'm using SimLab's own Race Director software. Things inside Race Director are simple and easy to use, and it's actually kind of a refreshing experience compared to the bombardment of options that the MOZA M Booster Active Pedals Pit House software or say the Simucube tuner software offers. Initially, you'll need to update the firmware, which is done via a separate piece of software, and this isn't ideal as I'd much rather stay in one app for my entire experience. But it's a route that some other sim racing brands also take, so we kind of got to take it on the chin. After the firmware flash, you can calibrate the pedals, which really is just a 5-second process, and then you can start adjusting various settings. You've got control over dead zones and input curves, and that's about it. This is pretty standard for a Loadcell pedal set, and it's all you really need to adjust. Once you have found your happy place, you can save your profile to quickly load again in the future. I found this really useful when switching between a short throw F1 pedal and a longer GT style pedal. And this whole process was simple, using the clean UI of Race Director, and really it involves zero fuss, and I kind of like that. So then, with the pedals calibrated and configured, we can finally jump onto the track. To test it, I loaded up a good test for both pedals. I chose ACC in a GT2 car around the Nordschleife. If any situation is going to test these pedals out, it's going to be this one. Now, I want to start with the brake pedal, as this is really what you're paying for. This brake pedal is broken down into a few parts. At the base of the pedal, housed inside this large gold cylinder, is the Loadcell sensor. This is then topped with a combination of springs and elastomers, and finally the lock-in nuts. The spring provides the majority of the resistance and is responsible for a lot of the travel. You then have the elastomer, which is essentially the damping block, and these two elements combine to create the two-stage brake feel that SimLab boasts with the XP-1. The preload spring compresses first, giving you the first stage, and then the stiffer elastomer starts to compress as your force increases. This helps you with consistent braking into every corner, as you can really feel when you're reaching maximum pressure. It also helps a lot during the decompression phase. As I released the brake pedal, I could feel the resistance changing under my foot, and this helped with the most crucial part of the braking phase, trail braking. With a range of different elastomers and preload springs, there's a lot of scope to dial in the resistance and brake feel. Using the softer springs, the pedal was pretty easy to depress pretty much all the way, while using the stiffer damping options really firmed things up. Now, having become used to active pedals since both Simucube and MOZA have been releasing their force feedback pedals, using a completely mechanical brake pedal again certainly took a bit of adjustment. Gone were the effects that told me when I was locking a wheel or triggering the ABS, and instead I actually had to pay much more attention to my braking action once again. Despite this relearning process, I felt as confident braking with the XP-1 pedals as I ever have with a purely mechanical sim racing pedal. My experience with the throttle is very similar. This is a buttery smooth pedal, thanks to SimLab nailing the mechanical elements. Everything felt well oiled, and the application of the throttle every time felt pretty close to perfect. After my first lap, I did crave some additional resistance in the throttle itself, which was easily achievable with a quick change to the stiffer spring that's also included in the box. Undergoing this swap and mechanically adjusting the pedal ended up giving me the exact feeling I was after. Having used pedals such as the Asetek Forte and the Simucube passive throttle, I can say that this SimLab XP-1 pedal is very comparable. If anything, this throttle pedal felt slightly smoother during its application than other pedals I've used. And that brings me on to the question of whether these XP-1 pedals are worth buying. These XP-1s sit in a very unique space. You may look at them and think you're not getting as much value compared to a Fanatec or MOZA set, which comes with 3 pedals and a base plate as standard. In comparison with the XP-1 pedals, you're dropping down to 2 pedals and no base plate while also spending more money. However, the XP-1 pedals delivers a fundamentally better experience than most lower price pedal sets. Pairing the incredible build quality that SimLab is known for with a huge level of adjustment and exceptionally high performance allows these pedals to stand above the competition. So then we can switch our focus to more premium pedal sets from Husingvel and other premium brands. The XP-1 competes toe to toe with these pedals and even outperforms them in some areas, all while costing pretty significantly less than those premium options. Like I say, these pedals occupy a unique and often desirable space in sim racing. This is a true high-end sim racing experience at a price point that is much lower than other premium competitors. The pedals themselves are stunning to look at and offer all of the customization that you'll ever need from a Loadcell set. Does this make the XP-1 pedals the all-round best Loadcell pedal set you can buy in 2025? Quite possibly.